In the current video game industry, AAA companies have taken a dive into a corrupted rut and have become nothing but factories that pump out half-baked games. This is why I have turned to the indie games. Independent titles such as Gone Home don't have money as a motivator the same way as larger companies do. Indie developers are fueled with a passion and love of games, and with this freedom from the shackles of monetary influence, indie devs are allowed to deviate from the traditional formula. Using Gone Home as an example again, in the game the player can only walk around a house and pick up certain items. Another very popular game does something similar as well, The Stanley Parable. The only thing that separates the two when it comes to gameplay would be that The Stanley Parable includes an element of choice. And to take it even a step further, there's a game called Papers, Please. This game goes as far as to take away the player's ability to even explore the physical world. Instead, the player is forced to sit in a booth on the border of a country and look over papers of immigrants. That sounds like work and not a game, but don't be fooled, because what might sound like boring and strange game mechanics could actually surprise the average player of how much it'll engage him. When I played Gone Home, I wasn't sure what to expect, though through my limited abilities in the looming atmosphere I felt vulnerable, and so I searched for places of safety. I found those safe moments in the arms of the game's story. Every time the narrator's voice would begin to speak, I would find solace in her voice, and when she would stop speaking, the atmosphere would take over again and the fear would return, pushing me to press on. In the end, I found that I was able to live in an experience I never could have if it wasn't for the risk that the developer took. Now, The Stanley Parable may have been similar in mechanics, but not in what drew me in. The Stanley Parable offered me meaningful choice. Every decision I made had a powerful impact on the direction of the story. In addition, the narrator would provide humorous and sometimes insightful dialogue as I would go along on this journey. It was this banter and plethora of endings that would keep me enthralled with the game, and it brought much food for thought with each ending that I felt as if I had grown from it all. Though a true and far step from the traditional AAA game model is Papers, Please. Papers, Please is a game like no other. This game offers the player an experience like no other, in a manner that no large company would have ever done. Even though the mechanics of the game sound repetitive and stale, what it provides in atmosphere and storytelling is unparalleled. This game, like the Stanley Parable, offered choice, but with consequence. The game begins with telling you that you have a family to take care of, and to do that you must perform your job with a minimal margin of error, that job being a border checkpoint. So every time you meet someone who doesn't have the correct papers, you have a choice. You could either tell that person that they may not enter, or you could ignore the error, let them go through and take a strike. But too many strikes, and you're fired. This choice may sound easy, as you would not want strikes, yet you may find that with each person there is another story that they have. That person may be fleeing another country for their lives, or they may provide funds for your family. The choice is yours. This game made me feel pressure and empathy in a world that I never would have experienced before, which brings me to what inspires me. For me, it is not who inspires me, but what inspires me. Even though these game devs still remain faceless to me, I feel inspired by their contributions to become a great dev myself. I plan to emulate games like this that stretch the boundaries of what games can be and do, and I hope that along the way I can make people feel inspired to continue the creation of great games long after my time has passed.